Hi guys, it's Stock Curry here, and in today's video, we're going to give you my Shiba price prediction. I'm also going to explain why SHIB is dropping, and I've got some stock picks for you guys from the top YouTubers. Now, I do want to remind you guys that I am not a financial analyst. Nothing I talk about today is a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold. These are just my opinions, which may or may not be accurate. So please do your own research before investing in any asset. All right, let's get into today's video. And as always, I'm going to run the first 20 minutes going over what would be my normal video, where I'm going to go over the market news, my Shiba price prediction, and the top stock picks. And then in the last 40 minutes, we'll go over whatever you guys want to talk about in the comments. So we're going to get through that first. And I just want to let you know that my plan is to make this the last live video this week. And then next week, getting back into my normal videos. All right, let's get into the market news first, and then we'll get to Shiba Inu. And the first thing I want to let you guys know is that on Friday, the October jobs report comes out. Now, this is a really tough one to predict because the prediction is for 450,000 jobs added. However, this is the very first month where the federal unemployment additional benefits have ended. And so up until now, a lot of people have said that the reason that the job numbers were been really, really low, for example, in September, it was only 194,000, is because a lot of people were sitting on the sidelines and they didn't want to go back into the workforce because they could literally make as much money or more money by sitting at home in unemployment than they could by going to work. Well, now the additional unemployment benefits have ended. And so this October jobs report is the very first month that's going to capture a normal unemployment rate where people who sit at home in unemployment are making way less than they can make in the workforce. And so we don't know how many people actually return to the workforce versus how many people are still on unemployment, or even more so, maybe how many people have just dropped out of the workforce altogether. Somebody like myself, I'm doing YouTube now. I no longer have a job. So it's really, really tough to predict. And I can guarantee you that the October jobs report numbers that comes out on Friday is going to be massively important for the stock market. If it is really low, we could see a big red day on Friday. Now, regardless of what happens on Friday, I do expect a bit of a dip. And here's why on Monday. And the reason for that is the SPY, which is an S&P 500 index, closed at 75 on the RSI. That's about 8% overbought. And if we look at the QQQ, which is a NASDAQ ETF, it closed at 78 on the RSI, which is more than 10% overbought. Now, it doesn't mean we're literally going to have a 10% correction. That's not what I mean. I just mean that when you look at a technical overbought, underbought situation, it means that we are really overbought right now, and we are due for either a pullback or sideways trading. It means we're probably not going to continue rising up much longer. If we look at the NASDAQ, we've now had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row green. And if we look at the SPY, we've now had, we had one red day, but it's still closed above. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's crazy. The bull run is going to come to an end at some point soon, and we're going to have either a dip or sideways trading. Okay, let's get into my SHIB price prediction. And for this, the first thing I want to tell you guys is I want to explain why it's dropping. Then I'll tell you where I think it's going to go. So Stockmo, Larry Jones, Keenan Grace, and Chris Zane all gave their thoughts on why SHIB is dropping in price. Now, first of all, the SHIB founders, there was a discrepancy in the number of Shiba coins that were in circulation. So there's a website called coinmarketcap.com that is really widely used throughout the world as sort of the authority on a market cap and circulation of coins. And coinmarketcap.com had said that there was 394 trillion coins in circulation. And some other websites were saying 549 trillion. There was some discrepancy. We didn't know who was right, who was wrong. And long story short, what ended up happening was CoinMarketCap went in and they looked at the Ethereum blockchain because Shiba Inu runs on the Ethereum blockchain. And they looked at the Ethereum blockchain and did an official count. And they came up with the 549 trillion coins in circulation. So they had the wrong information, which is really important because they are the authority on circulation and market cap, and they had it wrong. So that scared a lot of people off. In one sense, it seemed kind of scammy. A lot of people blamed it on the founders of Shiba Inu, that they were doing something like, on the down low. But Ken and Grace did a great breakdown on this issue today. And it appears that pretty much all of the blame falls on CoinMarketCap, not the Shiba founders. So now the Shiba founders are pressing CoinMarketCap to explain why they screwed up and listed the wrong market cap. Unfortunately, nobody really expects CoinMarketCap to respond, but that's where this whole situation stands right now. Now, another thing that scared a lot of people off is the fact that a whale moved $2.3 billion worth of SHIB recently to some other wallets, and that scared people. And then there was another whale who sold over $1 billion worth of SHIB. And further, a major red flag is the fact that 71% of all SHIB coins are held by just 10 people. That means those 10 people have the power to tank the coin price if they sell. This is exactly what happened to the squid coin. Is pretty much this one guy owned all of the squid, and when it got up to some insane price like $2,800, he just bam sold it all, and it dropped to like 3 cents, like within 10 minutes. And so that's the concern, is that when it comes to Shiba, that these 10 founders could theoretically tank the price if they were to sell. So all of those things are valid concerns. Now, regardless of all that, StockMo said SHIB has the potential to become a safer investment if those 10 people burn their holdings in some way, either by giving the coins away or even by selling and just getting their power to be lower, so that this could be a true decentralized currency and all the power isn't held in the hands of 10 people. Larry Jones had previously said that he would buy more if SHIB dropped down to 4 zeros and a 5. Obviously, it did, but Larry Jones did not actually buy in. He's actually waiting to see if this drops below 4 zeros and a 5, which, by the way, was a very strong support level. It was the 21-day EMA. And as you can see on the chart, SHIB did, in fact, drop below that. We're now below the 21-day EMA. We're below 4 zeros and a 5. And so the question now is, how low does it go? And the next level of support would be the 50-day EMA, which is around 4 zeros and a 3.5. The next level of support below that is the 100-day EMA, which is around 4 zeros and a 2.5. Now, personally, I think SHIB, my price prediction for SHIB is that this will bottom out somewhere between 4 zeros and a 2.5 and 4 zeros and a 3 before going back up again. It's the same price prediction I gave yesterday if SHIB dropped. SHIB is now dropping, so that's my price prediction. The reason I do 4 zeros and a 3 is that is this level of support that we have right here. And the reasons I say 4 zeros and a 2.5 is that is the 100-day EMA. So that's what I'm looking at for that. Okay, let's get into the stock picks from the top YouTubers. And the first one is going to be DKNG. And this is DraftKings, and they're an online sports betting company. StockMo said he thinks DKNG was down today because Penn National Gaming reported bad earnings. StockMo thinks today's drop is now a buying opportunity, and I'll say it might be, but I will warn you that DKNG is still a falling knife. The RSI is not yet oversold, and the MACD is about to form a death cross. I do believe DKNG could continue falling from here. Now, there is strong support at the $35 level, And there's weaker support at the $40 level and the $42 level. So it's really hard to say where DKNG will bottom out, but I do think it remains a falling knife for now. We'll go ahead and talk about Penn National Gaming next. This is an online brick and mortar gambling company, ticker symbol PENN. And StockMo let us know that PENN was down over 20% on Thursday after they reported bad earnings, but more so because Business Insider released an article where several women who worked at Penn National Gaming accused the founder of sexual misconduct. As a result of that double whammy, PENN had its worst single-day drop since March of 2020. All of the gains this year have now been wiped out. It's hard to say where PENN will go from here, but based upon the post-market action, it looks like PENN will recover at least some of Thursday's loss pretty quickly. Let's go to Nioh. This is Nioh, and they're a Chinese EV manufacturer. Nioh continued its bullishness after the breakout on Wednesday. All of the technicals remain bullish on Nioh, and I still believe Nioh will continue rising going into Nioh Day in December. I will let you know that there is resistance at around $45, and Nioh is going to have to break through that first before it can continue going much higher. And next up is PYPL. This is PayPal, and Chris Sain recommended dollar cost averaging into PYPL. Now, PYPL is currently at a level of support. It has not shown confirmation of a rebound yet, but there is a good chance that this is the bottom. So Chris Sain doesn't recommend loading up yet, and I agree with that. And next up is SMLR. This is a company called Smlr Scientific. And Tom Nash said SMLR is 40% undervalued at the current price. SMLR dropped after they reported earnings earlier this week, but it did find strong support at the 200-day EMA. Now, SMLR missed on revenue, and that's why the share price dropped. Now, SMLR is a pharmaceutical company with a focus on one single product. The product is a peripheral arterial disease, or PAD test, that can find the disease before symptoms show up. So when PAD is found early, it can be treated, but patients that don't get diagnosed until symptoms show up are often past the point where they can get treated. And left untreated, PAD can lead to loss of limbs. Now, amazingly, 20% of adults age 60 and older have PAD. 75% of those patients are unsymptomatic and therefore undiagnosed. So the SMLR test is easy to use, and they're hoping it becomes a scientific standard test for all patients 60 and older. Now, SMLR continues to have incredible revenue growth. I'm going to show you the financials right here. See 134% year-over-year increase, 125, 135, 185, 185% year-over-year increase. I mean, this is the annual, sorry. Now let's go look at the quarterly. We had 185, 136, 108, 113. I mean, you look at it, every single quarter this increases. So it's not like they had bad earnings. They just missed revenue expectations a little bit. And Tom Nash thinks this most recent dip is, quite frankly, a buying opportunity. Based upon the technicals, I would agree. Okay, next up is SNAP. This is Snapchat. Chris Sain said SNAP is finding support at the $52 level, and he's correct. Yesterday, Chris Sain had recommended buying in at any price under $51.90, and SNAP hit that price on Thursday. The MACD histogram continues to rise. The RSI remains near oversold, and those are both signs that SNAP is near a bottom, but we do not have any confirmation of a rebound yet. So just like with PYPL, it's probably best to dollar cost average in, but not yet go all in. And the last one I'm going to talk about is TSLA. This is Tesla. They're an American EV manufacturer. TSLA rose again on Thursday, but it did form a doji candle. Zoom in, see if you can see this a little clear. This candle is called a doji. And the doji candle is often a sign of a reversal. Now, with TSLA still at 87 on the RSI, I do believe this is the start of a pullback in TSLA that I quite frankly, I've been waiting for the last, 3-4 weeks now. But that doji candle should back up with the high RSI, the MACD starting to go back down. We do have a little bit of a drop after hours. To me, this is a perfect sign of TSLA having topped out, and it's going to pull back to, I believe, at some point $900 before going back up again. With this one, I am now comfortable buying a straight put option on TSLA. Okay, that's all for the YouTuber stock picks. Now, before you guys even ask, I'm going to talk about AMC. Okay, but the thing about AMC is I don't really have a whole lot to report on the stock price, the technical price. It's pretty much behaving as we predicted and expected. We are expecting a drop next week down to around $37 before going back up again. But I do have some news. And the first bit of news I want to bring up is this guy who his tweets are questionable. I'm just going to go out and say that right now. So take this with a grain of salt, but I want to talk about it because obviously a lot of people are talking about this. So he says that on AMC, the hedge funds have invented a new way to short stocks, and they created an ETF, which was a basket of meme stocks, including BBBY, AMC, GME, etc. Then they listed it as an offshore entity and shorted it as much as they liked. No need to report to FINRA. Now, cool story, but I have some serious issues with this. You can read this reply on the screen here from this guy. And this kind of tells you kind of how it got started or whatever. So apparently there's some credibility to it, but here's my problem with this. So I used to work in investment banking, and very specifically, I used to work in securities lending. So I worked in the department that helped facilitate the shorting of stocks. And I got to tell you, the whole idea of creating an ETF with a basket of meme stocks is credible, right? You can absolutely, any offshore entity can basically create an ETF and buy stocks and put it together. And if you're an offshore entity, you may not have to do the same FINRA reporting as a U.S. Broker or somebody like that would. But I do have two issues. Issue number one is if you are trading in the United States, you still have to follow FINRA and SEC regulations, regardless of whether you're a foreign entity or not. That's the main reason why here in the United States, a lot of brokers, including crypto brokers, are extremely limited, whereas elsewhere in the world, they're wide open. Is because even these companies based out of China and Hong Kong and Europe have to follow U.S. regulations, even if they're not based in the U.S. So that's my first issue with what he's saying. Is he's saying no need to report to FINRA, and that may be true for some offshore entities, but you still got to follow the rules. The second issue I have with this is if you create an ETF that's long, then the problem is that ETF is always going to be long. It doesn't matter if you short the ETF. The ETF is going to have a nominal value, meaning whatever the value of the basket of the securities is, that's the nominal value of the ETF. Now, the ETF can go up in price or down in price, and it's a difference between the nominal value. It can be a little bit overbought, a little bit oversold. So even if they shorted the ETF, all that would do would lower the price of the ETF and cause the ETF to be undervalued in comparison to the nominal value. It wouldn't actually cause downward pressure on the stocks. Now, there is a possibility that this is not a long ETF, but in fact, it's a short ETF, meaning they have a basket of meme stocks that they are short on. The problem is, once again, if you're going to short stocks, you have to be able to borrow those stocks, and most of these stocks have 0 shares left available to borrow. So you can't add any additional downward pressure. The only way to do it would be with naked shorting. And if you're going to do naked shorting, there's no need to create some offshore ETF and try to get around the rules because you're already breaking the rules. So I have a lot of issues with what this guy is saying. Possible that this is the case, but I would say unlikely based upon what I know about the investment banking and securities lending world. Now, That said, speaking of naked shorting, I'm going to just, oh my gosh, guys, thank you to Tara Bull, by the way. This is amazing information she came up with. So here's this ridiculous, crazy thing. I'm just going to read this for you, and then I'm going to talk about it. So this company called Webull, they downgraded AMC Entertainment to underperform and announced a $7.50 price target. That happened today. At the same time, Wedbush Securities was sued for naked short selling. Now, they weren't naked short selling AMC that we know of. They were naked short selling another stock called Life Partners Holdings. But the fact is, here is this short seller who is downgraded AMC, giving it a $7.50 price target while getting sued for naked short selling. So you guys know that going all the way back to, I don't even know when it started coming out, February, March, whatever, that a lot of people were saying that AMC has a lot of naked shorts, there's synthetic shares. And the thing is, as much anecdotal evidence there is to support that theory, it's never truly been proven. Now, there is a saying here in the United States that is fairly new and it's gaining a lot of traction. And that saying is the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is 6 months. I'll say it again. The difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is 6 months. And what that basically means is a lot of people are coming out with these crazy theories and these crazy things that they believe to be true. And a lot of like mainstream media and other people are saying, oh, it's a bunch of conspiracy theories and none of it's true. And then 6 months go by and it turns out that the conspiracy theory was actually true. So the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is 6 months. Just needs enough time for the evidence to all come out and prove that conspiracy theory true. And so we now have a little bit closer to proof that there is naked short selling in AMC. We have a short seller who is naked short selling other securities. Perhaps we'll be able to dig deeper into this and find proof that they were naked short selling AMC. But I do find that rather interesting and wanted to bring that to your attention. Okay, guys, so that is going to wrap up the normal portion of the video. Now I'm going to go through your comments and we'll talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about. So just give me 1 minute to go through the comments. I'm going to find some things that you guys are more than one person is talking about. And I'll try to skip over a few things that that we've already talked about. So first of all, you want to talk about PayPal earnings. Again, PayPal, we've PayPal earnings are coming up on November 8th. Like I said yesterday, PayPal looks like it's bottomed out. Looks like it might start going back up or at least trade flat here for a little while. And with earnings coming up on November 8th, that could move the stock price up or down. Now, if PayPal reports earnings that beat analyst expectations, I do expect that PayPal is going to rise in price just because it's so beat down right now. And heck, they can even miss analyst expectations and give good Q4 guidance, and I think the share price will still rise. So that's my prediction on that. I talked about what to do with Tesla. Talked about Penn, talked about Shib. Let's see. Anything else that you guys looking for things that more than one of you guys are asking about? Let's see. Oh yeah, sorry, forgot. If you guys would please do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. It really helped me out. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, go ahead and follow also. Thank you, Creator Show, for bringing that up. Totally forgot. Let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing a whole lot of. Okay, let's do this one. BNGO. Let's talk about BNGO. So, as you guys already know, BNGO reported good earnings, absolutely skyrocketed. Um, Here's my concern: is that this is still going to have some heavy short seller pressure. Let's pull up Ortex and see where we're at right now. So BNGO right now, we're sitting at 93% utilization. Pretty much almost every single share that's available to borrow has already been borrowed and shorted. Uh, the short interest remains at 14%. Not super high, but the days to cover are still at 8. This is a very heavily shorted stock. And notice the utilization's at 93, not 100. So there's still about 7% of shares left available to short. And the issue is when you get this run up, you'll get some covering, and then when it starts going back down, they'll re-short it. So despite the good earnings, and I think it could or should run up, I think the short selling pressure is still too strong with this, and it's going to take more catalysts besides one good earning report to get BNGO to start going back up. It was good earnings, but I just don't think it was enough to push it up yet. I think the short selling pressure is still too strong. Could be wrong, but we'll see. Uh, hey, good morning from Colorado. Yes, good morning. I live in Colorado too. Nice to meet you, fellow Coloradian. Let's see. Yeah, guys, if you missed all the plays and everything, just feel free to rewatch the first 15 minutes or so, and I go through all that for you guys. Okay, a couple of you guys have asked about this one, so let me go find it. So, SOFI. Okay, beautiful run up here. Crap, I missed out on it. Boo. Anybody that's holding, you guys are sitting pretty. A little bit overbought on the RSI, but the MACD is still rising. So hard to say. What do we have? A 3% drop after hours. Yeah, we might get a little dip back down to the 21-day EMA here again around $20.30 before going back up. But well, actually, it'll probably be around $20.50 or maybe 21, somewhere in there before going back up. But really bullish overall. What's the news? Why? Why is this running up all of a sudden? Earnings on November 10th. Okay, so it's running up going into expectations of good earnings. Oh, let's go look at analyst rankings. Apparently that changed. Let's see what we got here. Come on. And what I'm going to do once this loads, I'm going to go down to the individual. I don't want to get the consolidated. All right, nothing new. In fact, most of these analysts are 2 months old. So, yeah, I'll have to see how the analyst ratings get updated after earnings. This should be interesting. But definitely running up going into earnings on November 10th. Now, here's my big issue with this. Whenever you get a stock that runs up going into earnings, very often it's going to drop after earnings, no matter what the earnings are. The earnings could be good, beat analyst expectations, yet the stock price still drops because the earnings weren't like amazingly spectacular. So, my concern with SoFi is it's probably going to drop after earnings, no matter how good the earnings are. Um, and that's just based upon my experience of seeing what happens when earnings come up on stocks that have already run up. All right, let's see what else we got. I'm looking for things that more than one person's asking about. You guys are kind of all over the place here. Okay, a little discussion on Polygon. Let's get into that. And that ticker, in case you guys don't know, is MAT. No, hold on. Let me pull it up over here. Yeah, I'm actually going to use CoinMarketCap despite the whole issue with Shib, because I just like to get more information over here in case we need it. Okay, so if we go, let's go 1 year here. And we have a nice rise, a little bit of pullback, nice rise. I can't really speak to any fundamentals on this. I know Polygon itself is a good cryptocurrency. By the way, ticker, for those of you guys who don't know, is MATIC. Do you guys know of any news that may have come out on Polygon? Because I don't have any news on it, but overall, it's a great crypto, I think, for a long-term hold. If you look at it here, we've got a lot of bullishness going back to September, so really the last 3 months. You've got great bullishness here. A lot of other cryptos, like, say, Cardano, just have not run up the way that MATIC has. So, for example, if I were to pull up Cardano here, you're going to see that this chart, this 3-month chart, looks very different. So this 3-month chart is flat and even a little bit down versus Polygon that's been rising. So I mean, at the immediate time, Polygon is definitely looking a lot more bullish and a lot better than a lot of the other altcoins that are out there. Okay, let's see what else we want to talk about. Prague, we've already talked about that like all week. It said that one was pretty much over. Okay, yeah, I'll give my thoughts on this real fast. First, Zillow. So Zillow, if you guys don't know, had some pretty big news a couple days ago. And they announced that they were getting out of buying houses and flipping them. And they were going to sell off over 7,000 properties. And pretty much they're going to take a loss on those properties. Now, obviously, the share price tanked because they are losing a revenue stream. On top of that, they're going to take a hit on the properties they already bought. Realtors nationwide are absolutely celebrating this, but it's really bad news for Zillow. And the sad thing is, I know there's actually a Zillow property in my community that Zillow bought, and they have let it just absolutely get destroyed. It was a really nice house on the market, beautifully landscaped lawn. They have done no landscaping whatsoever. It is really gone into disarray. And man, I'm telling you, they're going to take a loss on that thing. So with the drop, their PE ratio is down to 59, which honestly, in my mind, just brings it down to a much more reasonable level. The problem, though, if we look at the technicals, this thing is still a falling knife. The MACD is not really showing any signs of rebounding. We're down in the after hours. We had another red candle today. I don't necessarily see this as one that is going to rise up like this. A lot of times what happens on these big drops is they'll rise up the next day and then they sort of trade flat and slightly down for weeks. And I think that's probably going to happen as Zillow starts offloading these properties and we get a little bit better idea as to the loss on here. Now, the other one I want to talk about is pins. Pins right now, I don't really have much change as far as what's going on. But the one bit of news is they did report earnings after the close. They beat on earnings and they were up 3.8% after hours. But that 3.8% rise puts them at $45, which is about right here. So it's really not that big of a rise, but it could help kickstart the rebound and a rise in price on PINS. Although if it does rebound and start going back up from here, it's going to be a slow climb. Nothing I would do an option on, but probably really good for dollar cost averaging in. And have a super chat here. Thank you so much, Froggy, for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate it. I know no one else asked about HYRE, but I'm holding a ton of it in the green. Just wanted to know your thoughts on holding or taking profits, and is it a good stock? Okay, HYRE. I will let you know right now, Froggy. I've never heard of this company before. I know nothing about it. So I'll give you a real quick way that I do research. First of all, looking at the technicals, we can see that the candles are below all of the EMAs. This remains a falling knife. So there's absolutely no telling how low this will go or when it will bottom out or turn around. So the technicals are very, very bearish. Take a quick look at the PE ratio. It's negative, which means this company is losing money. We'll take a look at the financials and just taking a look at the quarterly here to see if we have any changes. I'm going to pull up the income statement. We have a loss. And I can also see that the quarterly loss is growing from negative 31 cents, negative 87 cents, negative $1.12, and negative $1.36. So this is a company that's not only losing money, but they are increasing their losses. Now, revenues went up a little bit. So revenues are increasing, but the losses are increasing at a greater rate. That's not a good thing. Taking a look at the cash flow, it looks like they issued 30 million in stock, had a net increase of 20 million. Same here. So they have a cash burn rate of $10 million per quarter. And then if we take a look at the balance sheet, they have $24 million in cash on hand with a $10 million cash burn rate. They're good for 2 more quarters before they need to do another share offering. So that's going to put more downward pressure on the share price. All in all, everything looks really bad with this company. One more thing I'll take a look is TIPRANKS, see if we have any analysts. HYRE, let's go take a look at that. HYRE. And hopefully this loads a little bit faster. There we go. So we don't have any analysts in the last 3 months, so we can pretty much ignore all of these because a lot can change in 3 months. So the price target is really irrelevant. We'll go look at the overall stock analysis for you real fast. Retail investors are very negative on the stock. The news is very negative. The technicals are negative. The return on equity is negative. That said, the analysts we can't look at because they're all 3 months old. Bloggers are people mainly on Seeking Alpha. They're regular investors like you and I, but they are good enough at analysis where they can be a blogger on Seeking Alpha. They are bullish on it. Hedge fund activity has increased. One thing I'll say about TIPRANKS, when they say the word hedge fund, what they really mean is institutions. And so it looks like institutions are buying this, even though the retail investors and the news and the technicals are all very, very, very bearish. So I'm going to look at one more thing for you, and that's going to be fintel.io. And what I'm going to do over here is we're going to pull up that same ticker, HYRE, and we're going to go look at the institutional buying. It's going to be a little bit delayed because the 13Fs and everything are a little bit delayed on here, but we can still see it. And so what we have, we've got all of the green here. Anything that's green is going to be an add-on position. Anything that's highlighted green is going to be a new open position. And anything that's red is going to be a sell. So what we can find here is that by and large institutions are very bullish on this stock. So even though the technicals, the news, and retail investors are all bearish, the large institutions are bullish, which means this could actually make for a really good long-term hold, but certainly nothing that I would want to buy for a short-term trade. All right, hope that helped, Froggy. Thank you so much for the super chat. I know SoFi was working on their banking charter, but did we get any news that it was actually going to happen? I didn't see any news that their banking charter was a thing. I know they're still waiting on it. I don't see anything in the news. Let's see if we have any other news. Okay, so There's no obvious reason for the move. Yeah, so basically, there's no news on the banking charter side. Um, that's still speculation on when that might happen. So really, this is just rising going into an expectation of good earnings. Okay, let's talk about Mara, lovely Mara. I can see that we have a Zip Trader fan over here. MARA has obviously been rising up, thanks in large part to the rise in price on Bitcoin, which is also continue to rise up. Even though Bitcoin has been trading flat for a little while, that's fine because it was overbought. It needed to trade flat to get back down to a more reasonable level. And the fact that Bitcoin decided to get out of overbought by trading flat instead of dropping is actually very, very bullish. Consolidation is bullish. And so this is a really good sign. We are maintaining the 21-day EMA on BTC. So it looks like Bitcoin should continue to rise here here in the near future. This is actually really bullish. MARA, Marathon Digital Holdings, a Bitcoin miner, they're obviously going to benefit from the rise in price on Bitcoin. Even though they are a little bit overbought right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of sideways trading or a little bit of drop as Bitcoin continues to trade sideways. But longer term, this looks really good. Short term, we may get a drop back down here to support at around $55, $56 before MARA continues going higher again. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about Fubu TV. This is one I haven't looked at in months, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this news-wise, but let's see. I can see we have some recent run-ups. We had a earlier this year, kind of had a big like head and shoulders pattern, a big drop down around 16, followed by a run-up that was kind of a bull trap, and then it kept dropping. But I can see that over the last month, this thing has been an absolute tear. I mean, it's just been going straight up. So technicals on this are bullish, although we do need a little bit of a pullback down around $31 before we go up again. Let's take a look at the news and see what we got going on. I don't see any huge news. When's earnings? Earnings is coming up on the 9th. So this may be another run up in anticipation of good earnings. The revenue wasn't that great in Q2, but holy smokes, look at Q1. This is wow. Anyway, the most recent run up, I think, is just expectations of good earnings. It doesn't look like there's any news to support anything else. Like I said, when you've got a big run up going into earnings, very often the stock will drop after earnings, even if earnings are good. So just be mindful of that. Okay, let's see. Any other ones that more than one person are talking about? Dean, you're saying PROG got a new CEO? When did that news come out? Board of directors change. I see a board of directors change. Where's the CEO change? I must be missing it. I don't see a CEO change. I see a board of directors change. PROG is expected to be earnings estimates. Earnings come out on November 10th. You know what? Actually, this is really interesting. Let's dig a little deeper into this because I am seeing a pattern. You guys see the pattern here? We got a run up, flat for a week, run up, flat for a week, run up, flat for a week, run up, flat for a little over a week, and now run up. If this pattern continues, then this is going to get back up to $4.43 before dropping back down to $3.30 and then running back up again. Yeah, this might make a nice little swing trade here, up to $4.43. Yeah, it's looking good. I like the pattern. It's rare these days to find a consistent pattern in stocks, but this is a really nice pattern. All right, PROG might be one you guys might want to consider for a swing trade, up to a sell price of $4.40. All right. Yeah, sure. Let's talk about RIOT. I got a few people asking about that. So RIOT, this one did not rise up with. It didn't rise up with Mara because of that huge share offering. However, I talked about this yesterday, the day before, how this was probably a bit undervalued and needed to get back up. That the major share offering they had announced back in September is pretty much priced in at this point. And as Bitcoin and Ethereum continue to rise, I would have expected Riot to start rising as well. The technicals are bullish, although we do have a doji candle here. You see this doji. We also have a drop today and a drop after hours. So even though the technicals are bullish, the doji is bearish. Watch out for a little bit of a reversal here. But if we reverse back down to the 10-day EMA at $30.80 and then hold that level and continue going higher, that would pretty much be confirmation of a new bull run on RIOT, and I would be very comfortable buying in. So a little bit of concern in the very short term, but longer term, RIOT looks good. All right, let's see. We talked about pretty much all of those. Okay, this is one we haven't talked about in a while. TAT. Get an update on this. I haven't seen any really big recent news. I know we had the run up a few months ago when they were paying a bunch of people like myself to talk about it. Thought it was a great company, bought it. I still hold it. I haven't getting rid of any shares. I still own everything I bought at $3. News wise, you really have to go to their website to find news. They don't really get a lot here, but okay, so they're in Las Vegas now. They've increased distribution to Virginia, Oregon, Missouri. That's all good news, but nothing really new. Financials are still insane. Looks like they reported a 2,000% year-over-year increase in revenue last quarter. Can't really beat that. It looks like they doubled their revenue quarter over quarter. Can't really beat that. Everything looks great. Obviously, they're still losing money because they're spending so much money on marketing in order to get these sales. But one thing that I actually do like is that the cost of revenue as a percentage has gone down. And we can see that reflected in the fact that gross profit has more than doubled quarter over quarter. Their marketing expenses also went down. So if they had a $2 million decrease in operating expenses, why are they still not profitable? What's going on? Okay, they didn't really issue any new stock. Nothing new there. We had a $2 million increase in asset disposal. That's a little bit concerning. I don't know why they did this. I would want to look into that, find out what that is. I don't know if that's just a sell-through of their current inventory or what that is. That would take a lot more research. But overall, Okay, so they get half the cash on hand. They're down to $5 million cash on hand. So they might need to do sure. Yeah. Yeah, they had a $4 million decrease. Yeah, they're going to need to do a share offering soon. That's going to put downward pressure on the share price, unfortunately. That's a bummer. But I'm still long-term bullish on it. I'm definitely in TAT long-term. All right, guys, we got about 8 minutes left. Let's see what else we can talk about here. Oh, we got another super chat here. Thank you so much, Greg, for the $5 super chat. You want to talk about UWMC? All right, UWMC, which is United Something Mortgage Holdings. Let's see. I haven't looked at this in a long time. I know this is one that was like really popular back in like earlier this year. Yeah, back in January, this ran up to $14, and then with the rest of the market, just absolutely tanked, uh, and just has never recovered. So let's. There's really not much going on technically with this. It's very neutral. The MACD is at 0. The RSI is near 50. The candles are in between the EMAs. There's no indication whatsoever technically. Taking a look at the PE ratio, forward PE of 9. That is what you call undervalued. Let's go take a look at the ooh, that's not good. Okay, well, here's why the stock price is dropping. You got $1.8 billion in revenue Q4, $1.2 billion in revenue Q1, $700 million in revenue Q3 or Q2. You don't ever want to see a company losing revenue. That is really, really bad sign. Earnings are coming up on November 9th. So we'll see if that changes anything. Right now, it's not looking good fundamentally for UWMC. So I can see why the PE ratio is so low, because if they're continuing to lose revenue and continuing to lose money, obviously that forward PE ratio is just going to keep dropping. Technically the forward PE ratio would increase as the future earnings go down. And if they turn negative, they don't want to even have a PE. So unfortunately, it's not looking good. It's very, very, very neutral right now. It looks like we're just going to have to wait for earnings this quarter on November 9th to see if they can turn things around. But right now, it's not looking good fundamentally. If they don't get things turned around and they keep losing money, this is a stock that could years from now go to 0. So you can't lose money and go backwards and expect to make it as a business. Business doesn't work like that. Okay, so hopefully that helped, Greg. Sorry for the bad news, but thank you so much for the super chat. All right, let's go look at a few others. I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Oh, wow. Okay, Kerwin, thank you so much for the super chat. 55. I assume this is a Norwegian krona. Thank you so much. You say, congrats on the newborn, a small diaper contribution. Diapers are like 10 cents in Norway. Everything else is mostly crazy expensive. Yeah. Man, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for the congratulations. And yeah, that's really going to help for diapers. That'll probably buy me 20 diapers. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Okay. Let's see if we have other things. I want to make sure I don't miss any super chats. Okay. Don't see any more right now. VALE. I talked about that yesterday or the day before, but we'll talk about it again. So VLAE, as I said before, it continues to be a falling knife. I continue to hold it. I haven't sold any. We still have a forward PE ratio of 14.59. It's at a good price. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's continuing to drop. Like I said, I'm waiting for this falling knife to end, and then once it does, and we start closing above the 21-day EMA, to me, that'd be confirmation of a rebound, and I will be loading up at that point. But for right now, I'm just waiting for this knife to finish falling, and then I'll add some more. And 2021 Silver Bill Run, thank you so much for the super chat. Can I take a look at SKYE? Absolutely. So SKYE, it looks like a Emerald Bioscience. So I'm assuming a pharmaceutical company. I don't know anything about this company. Just a heads up. Um, we can see this is a penny stock. It is OTC markets, not tradable in Webull. So it's going to hurt his potential a little bit. But man, you can make great money with penny stocks. As you can see, it's doubled in price in the last 6-7 days. Let's go take a look at why and what's going on. The technicals are far less important on penny stocks. Penny stocks don't really follow technicals that much. So it's really going to come down to the fundamentals. Zero revenue whatsoever. So this is clearly a pre-revenue company, probably why it's penny stock. SKYE Bioscience sponsored research presented at American Association of Pharmaceutical Sciences. They got a head of regulatory affairs. Wait, why would they do a head of regulatory affairs? Usually you do that when you're trying to go NASDAQ listed. What's going on here? Oh, no. This is regular. Okay, this is dealing with the actual pharmaceutical treatment of diseases. That side of regulation, not stock regulations. Okay, so never mind on that. Other than that, this is all old news. So let's see. The stock started going up on the 26th, and we have no news. So why? Why would the share price start going up? Okay, SKYE, let me do a quick research on this. I have an idea, but let's go take a look here. One second. I'll show you how to do. I'm literally just going to Google this and go to news and see if we have anything more recent. We do not. So the next thing we're going to do is pull up their website, and let's go take a look at the pipeline. So I hope I got the right website here. It says Sky Bioscience. And let's see what we got. Do we have a pipeline? We do. Okay. So I don't know. It's kind of phased out, but preclinical. Wow, this is very, very, very early stage, but they're getting into phase 1. Do we have any news about how they're doing or anything? No, nothing. No news at all. So I'm sorry, man. I don't know why it's going up. This company is going to be very, very risky. They're very early stage, so you're going to have a lot of risk depending upon how their development goes. Sorry, I can't give you guys more information on this one. I have no idea why it's running up, but I would say, if you had bought it down here and you doubled your money, congratulations. But outside of that, this early stage, if they get good news, generally speaking, when it comes to pharmaceutical stocks, you're not going to see major price increases until after the phase 1 trials are complete. So if you get a completion of phase 1 trials and those go well, you'll see a big jump in share price. But until then, it could be 6 to 9 months before we get any information on phase 1. So really, really hard to say what's going to go on in here. But thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. And then I got time for one more super chat, and then we got to end it. Good morning. Can you give me your mindset on TG and Dow? So TG, I assume you're talking about this one, Tredegar. So obviously very, very flat. literally at 0 on the MACD, near 50 on the RSI, extremely flat, absolutely zero indication of going up or down. We have a PE ratio of 7. Why is it dropping so much? Usually means they're losing revenue. Yep. We have a annual revenue loss. Let's go look more recently the quarter. Oh, so you went from 181, 191, 184, 219. Very interesting. So they're losing revenue, but gaining in earnings. I can kind of see why it's flat. There's a big disconnect here. Earnings were on, what was this, June? So 6, 7, 8, and 9. Well, I guess 9:30, so 10:30. I would expect earnings to come out sometime in the next 15 to 30 days. We'll have to see if they can maintain this most recent increase in revenue. If the earnings come out and they have an increase in revenue and an increase in profits again, you could see this flatness end and you could see the stock start going back up. If you get a split again where you have like a decrease in revenue and an increase in earnings, we'll probably just keep trading flat. I'll take a look at the news for you real fast. We got a little 12-cent dividend. It gives you a dividend yield of 3.86%. Heck, I mean, you got a company here that even though revenues aren't good, their earnings are increasing, their profits increasing, and they pay a nearly 4% dividend yield. It sounds to me like a good stock just to hold. It may not do anything in the short term, but I mean, with a 4% dividend yield and the potential to increase earnings and profits and start going back up, I like it for a long-term hold. Don't like it for a trade, but I like it for a long-term hold. All right, guys. Unfortunately, we did go over 1 hour, so not sure if this is going to end up posting on every single platform. It may get dropped off of a couple of platforms because we went over an hour. But I do want to thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for joining us for the last hour. I know it's very early or very late, wherever you guys are. And so thank you so much. You guys, yeah, we'll look at, what do you want? The Dow real fast. You're talking about this. Hold on. That's not what I wanted. Give me a second. Do it like this. Okay. So I don't know if you're talking about Dow the company or Dow the actual Dow, but if I just assume you're talking about the actual Dow real fast, it's I mean performing the same as everything else really. If we look at the NASDAQ, that's the one outlier. But if you look at the S&P, you look at the Dow, they're almost identical, and then you get the NASDAQ, which is just running up way higher than everything else. So Dow and S&P, keep in mind that those two indices normally have 3 corrections per year. We have not had a single one since September of last year. So way overdue. You are talking about Dow, the company. I apologize. I don't really know much about this. Actually, don't really know anything about this. So my apologies. Can't really talk about it. Technically, it's flat. 0 on the MACD, near 50 on the RSI, completely and totally flat. Nothing to push it up or down. Yeah, sorry. I have no indication on this whatsoever. So unfortunately, it's just totally flat with no indication of going up or down. Historically, we had our COVID drop, and then you get the bull run, and now it's just, I don't know why it's coming back down. But we're flat on the neutrals, so sorry about that. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and I'm gonna go get some sleep now. The last 3 days, I had 4 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep, and 5 hours of sleep. Once again, this will probably end up being the last live video I do for a while. That's why I wanted to take some time to go a little bit longer. Next week, we're going to get back to the regular videos. For those of you who have made it this long, I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Don't forget, you can follow me on Facebook or Twitter at a real Scott Curry. And if you're interested in the Discord, again, it's not my Discord. It's another group called Lucrative Investing, but there's an analyst over there called JPM Investments. He twice this year has turned $100 into $10,000. He did it twice. I am currently in talks to bring him on the channel to talk about how he actually did that and what his thought process is on investing and how he makes so much darn money in the stock market with such a small starting amount. The guy's a genius. So I can't wait to bring him on. Hopefully we get him on here soon. But if you don't want to wait and you want to go over the Discord, start chatting with him right away and see everything he's buying and selling along with the other 50 analysts they got over there, you can go to the Discord. I got a 7-day free trial for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to end it there. Have a great night. I hope you guys have a lot of success trading on Friday.